Hi, it's Al here from DMR Bikes, and today we're going to run you through everything you need to know to look after your DMR VMAX pedals. There'll be two parts to this video. Firstly, we're going to service the bearings in the VMAX, then we're going to show you how to replace the claws or the cleat retention mechanism on the pedal. Let's go through the tools you're going to need. A new DMR pedal service tool. A hammer, Allen keys, mainly a 6mm, a thin-walled 9mm deep socket and a driver, a torque wrench, rags or paper towel, grease, a pick, isopropyl alcohol, Loctite 641, a DMR VMAX service kit, and if you've got one, it's helpful to have a vise. For this video, we're showing you how to service the right pedal. Everything's the same for the left, except on the right pedal, the nut which holds the axle has a left-hand thread. So the first thing we need to do is to remove the end cap, 6mm Allen key, remove that and set it to one side. Inside the pedal, you'll see the nut which holds the axle in place. We hold the axle on one end with a 6mm Allen key and take our socket. And undo the nut. With the axle out, we can remove the cartridge bearing which sits on the outboard side of the pedal. Give it a poke. There it goes. Next, we need to remove the two black rubber seals that sit on the inboard side of the pedal. Just pick these out. Well, they both came out together there, lovely. And then the next step will be to remove the DU bush. To remove the DU bush, you'll need your new DMR pedal service tool. Unthread the end cap, we'll need that later. And then we're screwing that threaded section into the DU bush. It's quite tricky to get it started. There is a hole which you can use to put an Allen key or a similar tool in to help you drive it into the bush. There we go, that's screwed in nicely. And then we're ready to remove the bush. If you do have a vise, the tool can be mounted in a vise. Stick an Allen key through the hole or screwdriver, something similar. Mount that into the vise and secure it. Then you can screw your pedal in, and you can also use it to pull the bush out of the pedal body. If it's really tight, you can tap the pedal body using a rubber faced mallet, or we'll try and remove it as if we didn't have a vise, basically like one of those old fashioned corkscrews. Comes out like so. With the pedal disassembled, we need to clean the axle and the pedal body. Make sure you remove any old grease and grime. Get everything as clean as you possibly can. You can use a bit of alcohol. If there's any mild corrosion on the bearing surface of the axle, you can sand that down. If it's too far gone, you'll need a new axle. Clean right inside the pedal body. You need to pay special attention to the area where the DU bush is going to sit. There we go, nice and clean, ready to be rebuilt. So now we're ready to reassemble the pedal. We've got one half of a service kit here, so 2 seals, 1 cartridge bearing, 1 DU bush, 1 end cap, and 1 nut. You've got to make sure you've got the correct left or right nut because of the left hand thread and the right hand thread. Now we're ready to reassemble the pedal. First step is the DU bush. Fit that onto your DMR pedal service tool, and the bush has a chamfered end, so that goes into the pedal first. Before we fit it into the pedal, I'm going to apply a little bit of Loctite 641. This will help the bush to stay in position. Don't need a lot. And then we can fit the bush into the inboard side of the pedal. Might need a tap with the hammer. Make sure it's all the way home. And then just clean up any Loctite. Don't want to get that on your skin, and you don't want the pedal axle to be running on it either. There you go. Next, on the other end of the pedal, we'll take your new cartridge bearing, tiny bit of grease on that, and drop it into the pedal. Make sure it's all the way home. Next, we're installing the 2 rubber seals. If you do use a pick for this, be very careful not to damage them. Just make sure they pop into their little seats. That's 1 in. And that's 2. Next, we're going to grease the DU bush, the seals and the axle. So a bit of grease in there. Spread that around a bit so it's all coated, and then on the axle bit of grease, especially where the DU bush is going to run, and then fit the axle into the pedal body like so. Now we can secure the axle using the nut. It's the right hand pedal, so left hand thread, so turning it anti-clockwise, and we're tightening this to 10 Newton meters. There you go. And finally, add the end cap. Bit of grease on the threads. Tighten that down, and that's your pedal bearings all serviced and ready to go. So next, if you've managed to damage your pedals, say you've ridden into a rock and bent the retention claws, we're going to show you how to replace them. It's dead easy, and you only need a couple of tools. A T10 Torx key, a torque wrench with the T10 bit, some Loctite 277. Each kit should have enough parts to replace all of the retention pieces on one pedal, so that's 2 per side. Each piece is held on with 2 Torx bolts. These are very tight, and they have Loctite on them. If you apply a bit of heat to them, it will make them much easier to undo, but whatever you do, make sure you clean the head of the bolt and use a good quality Torx key and keep it well pushed into the bolt head. Now it's just the reverse process of refitting the claws. Make sure the pedal is nice and clean before you refit the claws. And you'll need to apply a small amount of Loctite to each of the bolts. Put the claws in place. And secure using the bolts. Don't get any Loctite on your fingers. Good idea to use gloves. The final tightening torque for these bolts is 2 Newton meters. Once you've fitted new retention mechanisms or claws, they're going to need a bit of bedding in, so you might want to clip in and out 10 or 20 times just to break them in. That's always good to do with new claws or even a new pedal. You can adjust the tension using a 3mm Allen key using these adjusters here for both sides of the pedal. It's a good idea if you're new to clipless pedals to back this tension right off to make it easier to release your foot from the pedal. That's everything you need to know to keep your VMAX pedals running sweetly. For more info, head to dmrbikes.com or hit us up at info@dmrbikes.com. Thanks for watching, see you next time. Cheers!